What is up, everybody? Good morning. It is July 1st. We made it through June. We also made it through yesterday, which was one of the craziest days in NFT history so far, with like over 10 drops, surprise drops from Twitter. Some of the biggest auctions in the space ended. It was absolutely a wild day. I ended up talking with a lot of people I never thought I'd be able to talk with from the Twitter team, learning what they are doing to push the space forward. And yeah, it was just like what a day. I'm still recovering from it. I woke up this morning and still couldn't believe everything that happened yesterday happened. Um, if you took off yesterday, if you were like, I'm going to take one day off from the NFT space, close Twitter, go outside, you chose the wrong day. It was the day. We woke up in the morning to Twitter releasing some cryptic tweets and then changing their bio to NFTs all day. They changed their header to an art chick tweet. And then they released seven different NFTs, each with a series of 20. And yeah, people lost their minds. The big one that people lost their minds over was the furry NFT. So we actually saw furry Twitter trending at one point. I mean, just imagine if you don't know what NFTs are and all this is happening, and you see people, losing their minds over this. It's pretty cool, and also the fact that the Twitter account has almost 60 million followers. The engagement, the onboarding that they did yesterday. I would hope that Twitter at some point jumps into a spaces in the NFT community and explains like, how many interactions did they have? How many people that weren't talking about NFTs are talking to NFTs? Twitter has all the data, and Beanie had a really good tweet about this. They know where the attention is. They know where the interaction and the communities are. And the NFT community is one of the strongest, most engaged. They're the people that wake up at 6 a.m. and immediately jump on to see what's happening on Twitter, and it's the last thing they check before they go to bed. Um, so really cool to see Twitter launching their own NFT. Like I said, the collection is called the 140 collection, a nod to the original 140 character tweets. I encourage everybody to go throughout each of these NFTs and look for the small details. Bianca from Twitter was telling me that they went super like in detail. They added little things that most people aren't going to catch. So it's worth looking through them, trying to see what they hid from us. I'm sure that there are things on the second time you look through that you missed. We saw some big sales on those. Yesterday, a furry Twitter sold for 25 Ethereum. We also have seen a few others sell for 20, 19 and a half Ethereum. And then the rest have, offers and prices. And I just think these will be very illiquid. A lot of the people I talked to yesterday, I talked to six or seven people who won the NFTs yesterday. One of them didn't even realize it was worth 50 grand. He thought I was joking when I told him, hey, somebody sold one for 25 Ethereum, and he's like, haha, that's funny. And then he immediately hung up the phone and told his wife, I hope that, if they need the money, they sell it. And that's the other cool thing about this. A lot of people's lives were changed. There's one woman who tweeted and said, taking care of some bills after her sale. And there are a lot of other people who just said that this changed their lives. So I'm happy that Twitter didn't raffle these off. I'm glad that they were selective, chose people that were engaged in the community. And I'm glad that they didn't sell these. Like, it's so easy for a corporation, especially a big corporation where there's going to be this hype around them, to just go and say, hey, we're going to go make a quick, easy $2 to $10 million, drop some NFTs, and people are going to flip them and there'll be a secondary for them. It's much more special when they drop it this way. They also at 8 p.m. last night Eastern time did the same kind of drop for Twitter Japan. They did not give away any of the Tamagotchi NFTs, but we did see them, I believe, start giving those Tamagotchis away to Twitter Japan repliers. on top of Twitter, the other social network that we saw doing some stuff in the NFT space was Reddit. Reddit had an auction that ended yesterday for the crypto snooze. I predicted in yesterday's video we would see these end up at 40 Ethereum, and I was way off. Tropo Farmer told me that he thought 75. He was way off. The cheapest sold for 105 Ethereum, with the highest selling for 175 Ethereum, which is about, I think, like $400,000. It's either 400 or $500,000. It's about $400,000. So it's crazy to see this. Like, just like I said, Twitter could have easily gone and sold their NFTs and made money. I do think that the one of ones here, the way Reddit has it set up, and it was interesting to see how that auction went. Those will be kind of like coveted pieces. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the Ethereum and Bitcoin space who made a lot of money because they were on Reddit back in 2011, 2012, and learning about the launch and rise of cryptocurrencies there in their communities. So really cool to see this get bought up, and pretty big sale. Also regarding big sales, yesterday Fuocious ended his lot at Christie's. Huge congrats to him. Like, Fuocious is just such a stand-up human being, and doing a lot for the NFT space, and probably one of the top artists in the NFT space, actually top artists in the world right now. And if he continues on this path, he will be like, it's kind of cool, like, to be living in a time where one of the greatest artists is also producing work while you're living, and to see that kind of journey happen. His pieces all sold for in the $400,000 range. The lowest was $375,000. The highest fetching 475,000. I do know one of the guys who picked it up. He explained his thought process to me. It does seem like the story continues to be the value factor for NFTs. So if you have a good story, there's good origin for why the work should have value to collectors. Art is subjective, but the story and the emotion that an image can evoke is what brings a lot of value to them. I think also, obviously this is art. This isn't like an NFT where there's, going to be IP created around it. This is definitely on the art side of things. So I'm glad that there's that story. Huge congrats to Fuocious. Excited to see what happens next. Also, super, super, super important, yesterday, I guess at midnight tonight, going into effect, NIL was passed, which is name, image, likeness for college athletes. Mackenzie Milton and De'Eric King not only have signed as co-founders of a new NIL platform called Dreamfield, but they will also be the first active college athletes with an NFT dropping next week. This is huge. This is probably, I'm gonna probably get some flack for this, but this is probably the biggest thing that happened yesterday. Was the NIL, outside of NFTs and within NFTs, because we're going to see a lot of college athletes start to, one, make the money they deserved, over the last decades, but also a lot of these college athletes are now going to look at NFTs because it's quite a hot topic right now. A lot of people are doing it. I do expect for us to see like a couple dozen college athlete NFTs within the next couple weeks pop up and get announced. I'm certainly excited. If you're not aware really why this is such an important thing to be passed, the NIL policy, which stands for name, image, likeness, is for college athletes that allow them to make money off of endorsements and sponsorships and remain eligibility. Before, we saw if athletes are making money from their name and image, they were either kicked off the team. We saw with Destroy that he was kind of forced to give up YouTube, and because he was making money from his name and his brand, and it's sad. It sucks to see that a lot of athletes were not able to get the money that they deserve based off of their skills and their name. I'm really happy that this happened. Excited for the future for college athletes. Um, Also excited for the future of art blocks. 6 months of silence from Hideki Tsukamoto. He launched Singularity, which is one of the highest regarded art blocks drops. We've been waiting to hear what happens next. After 6 months, he tweeted yesterday a preview of his next drop. It's called Fusion. It looks absolutely amazing. My immediate thought process after seeing G Money tweet this was gas will easily be 1200 Gwei, if not more. It's going to be, I mean, when we start to see these art blocks drop that are super, super hot, the gas wars are going to be gas wars. I mean, I just think back to like Zoolander when they're outside the gas pump and like dancing around. Like it's gonna be that kind of gas war, but with like flames. It's gonna be explosive. Excited for this drop. They look absolutely amazing. Imagine having this on your wall or in your digital gallery. Cool stuff. Um, Another important kind of thing that I saw pop up real quick was that Metaverse DAO, MDAO, will be having on July 8th, a week from now, a rare Pepe story. This is awesome. Like, I love seeing DAOs do this kind of stuff. Definitely worth going to attend. Uh, it'll be interesting to hear and see how they pull off the MDAO kind of, story and location link and how it all gets played out. But it's cool to see DAOs doing stuff like this. Yesterday, we also saw the drop of the Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult. The floor is already below minting. I just think there was we're going to go through all the floor prices right now. And I think the big trend that I've seen is yesterday was so much and it was so spread thin that it was almost best to just not touch anything if you're trying to flip, just because so much money went into the system, so much attention, everything's widespread. We'll see what happens. I do really like this project just from artwork and how it's being executed. You got your mint right away. The mint screen was super cool. The properties seem cool. We've seen a lot of action on the secondary for this, which gives me hope that this will play out pretty well in the long term. The floor is under right around minting, but then we're seeing price action from 8 Ethereum to 3 Ethereum on these one-of-ones or very rare attributes. Fives, threes, fours. Super cool to see this. The Necromancer is obviously having some pretty huge demand, but then the one-of-ones, like the Color Master, I believe, is a one-of-one. Crowley is a one-of-one. Nicholas is a one-on-one. So obviously there are people placing bets that this will go long-term and have huge demand. So excited for that. Another drop we saw was Lucky Manikai, right around mint price, just like the other project, Wizards. Deadheads also right around mint price. We saw some drama about this morning. I'd love to hear your comments. Tweet me on Twitter or leave a comment below this video. But Deadheads did something that is getting a lot of flack, and it was explained before the drop that the reveal of these NFTs would be a week later. And we're seeing people like Jimmy and Pranksy, Tropo Farmer this morning, all having a discussion. DSpy also in there talking about what it means for a project not to reveal on Mint. To have that delay and have to wait doesn't feel good to some people. They think they should get their art right away. It feels like it's unfinished. They did let us know that it would take a week, but some people saying if it's a delayed reveal, they will not even touch the drop. I can understand where they're coming from. I'm curious what you guys think. I did buy one, but we will see what happens with the market there. Also saw Mad Cat Militia drop yesterday, right around minting price. No crazy action on the floor right now. The floor for Bored Ape Kennel Club still in the high, under 1 Ethereum range, seeing zero point 0.7. Don't think we're going much lower there. I do know that my brother made a pickup in the Bored Ape Yacht Club yesterday. The floor prices seemed pretty oversold. I think we were right around like 2.5 to 2.6. The floor is already back up to 3, and I think I've seen some buying activity happening here. So people kind of taking advantage of attention being elsewhere yesterday, and then going back to good old reliable and making some purchases as people probably tried to get some liquidity, get some cash to make other NFT plays and flips. Meebit's still above 1. I think it's a long journey. I was looking at the data this morning. It's a long journey for Meebits to get to 2 Ethereum. A lot of buying has to happen. I think it's like something crazy like 500 Ethereum worth of, or more than that actually. It was like 500 to 1,000 Ethereum worth of sales needs to happen for us to get back to 2 Ethereum floors. So if that starts happening, that would be wild. Don't see that happening, this week. Obviously, I do think an announcement from Larva Labs would send us just into an absolute whirlwind. We've still seen a lot of big players, big names in the space, making buys in the 3 to 10 Ethereum range, mostly on pigs. So we'll see what happens there. Keeping an eye on the Meebits market. Checking in on Punk's comic, as we've seen a lot from the Meta Heroes Twitter account, seeing if that had any price effect on the comic. It has not. We're back to 0.3 though. So, a week or two ago when there was some FUD in the air, I told everybody that, it hasn't changed the product. It hasn't done anything. Beanie tweeting should not affect the project. We're down to like 0.22. I told everybody to buy. We're back at 0.3. I still think this is one of like the best executed projects out there. Utility, tokenization, revenue share. There's vaults. It's just G-Funk has done an absolute stand-up job with this project. I obviously hold some of these, so I'll disclose that. But it's another project where if you're just watching and sitting, you don't own any. You don't have to go buy it, but I do think you should look into it to understand, one, what can be done with NFTs, and two, what it looks like when an NFT is utilizing smart contract and all of the utilities of crypto around it to increase the user experience and the quality of the product. So really glad to see that back above 0.3. I also wanted to jump into art blocks real quick because obviously that we've seen a ramp up in volume and demand. However, we are seeing some of that kind of like hype die off a little bit. Century floors, I'm seeing stuff go up for under 1 Ethereum, where a few days ago this was well above 1 Ethereum. It just seems like a lot of things are starting to cool off. Still think that not a great time to jump in. If you've been on the sidelines, we'll probably see a little bit of a pullback here. But art blocks continuing to be one of the highest quality art projects and generative art projects on the in the NFT space. So I own some curated drops. I do think this is one of the ones that'll be around in 100 to 200 years, where we look back and say, wow, you owned an art blocks drop from 2021. Very cool stuff to see there. Excited to see what comes next. Obviously, Series 3 has just ended, so we'll have to wait a couple weeks until we hear about Series 4 for art blocks. Polymorph still sitting around that 0.07 to 0.06 range that we saw yesterday. Still up from the very low depths that we, prices that we saw the other day before we had that NFT Twitter Spaces talk. I think the bottom was in on that. We won't see it go much lower. Anything that gets lower than 0.05, we'll probably see some buyers come back in. A lot of people playing the long-term game on this project. So shout out to Tyler. Good job. Glad to see that your project is getting some love. Bulls on the block not getting much love, still sitting where we were. Yesterday around zero point 0.1, 0.13 range. Don't see any crazy action happening here. Same old, same old. Gutter cats above one already point like we'll see this probably push to Ethereum. Like I said yesterday, it just seems like there's a lot of push to get into this. Gutter cat, here for 1.4, and the journey to Ethereum is only like probably 25 to 50 sales. So obviously there was a snapshot that I think happened for Gutter cats. So prices are up, might see these pull back, will be interesting to watch, but another example of how supply and demand can really affect your pricing. Having a third less than a 10,000 drop project means that these prices theoretically should be 3 times higher than the same if this project had happened with 3 times the demand, or somewhere in there. The most notable thing that I saw this morning, lots of news happening, lots of hype, lots of drops, the floor action. But the most interesting thing to me has been VFriend's price and volume activity. Like, there's not one project we've seen have a very slow, gentle rise in volume and price, and just consistent, like not a pump and dump, not a gradual decline off of mint. Like, this has been the marathon runner, and it is absolutely mind-boggling to see that we have just core cockroaches going for 4.4, adaptable aliens for 5.3, FaceTime fleas for 13 Ethereum, YOLO lack yak for 5.55. Even like an epic, like we're seeing like epics and like very rares going for like high, like almost 10 to 15. So it's cool. I love it. Like, congrats to Gary. This project just has like the legs, and it's cool to see that this chart here is not one you see on many NFT projects. So really worth noting that there's still demand, and that demand's growing. The volume is there. And they're still doing like 100 Ethereum worth of volume per day, and the sales are still coming in pretty steady. Wicked Craniums, not much to talk about there, still under 0.2 on the floor. Price action has been off the floor, no real change though. Punk's floor is still around 17. We're up from the low teens that we saw last week. Expecting this to stay there. Don't see it going down for any other reason right now, unless Ethereum dumps. But we'll see. CryptoPunk's certainly getting some really strong love in the news lately, with Jay-Z and other people starting to use punks as their avatars who are notable figures. As far as sales for punks, still in that high teens to low 30s range. Saw VR Stringy go for sale. Saw some Big Shades go for sale. But yeah, like it's also been a little quiet, like on the higher end range as well. We did see some bids come in for some zombies. They were kind of low. I think the bids were like under 400 Ethereum. So will be interesting to see. I also just noticed while looking, like real quick, we saw 2 of these sales come in, the 16 and this one as well for a silver chain. These are only 150, out there as far as supply goes. So whoever picked these up, probably a good purchase, on the silver chains, as the floor, we'll look real quick. That are for sale quickly goes up. Yeah, so only a couple more sales and the floor's up into the 20s. So I think those will age well. Silver chain, certainly a rare trait. But yeah, not too much going on with CryptoPunk. Still some floor and low price buying. Not a lot in the high range. Ethereum and Bitcoin still kind of just sputtering around the $21 to $2,200 range. We saw some sort of a pullback this morning, back down to like 2,100. Yeah, don't see. I have no idea. Like I said yesterday, about to go into a holiday weekend. Expect some craziness. Make sure you're, in the right positions. You have stop losses. You have, you're not too leveraged up. That if you're away from the computer, you don't get into a sticky situation. Yeah, but not too much craziness happening there. Good to see that the crypto market is up across the board, though 8% in the last day. That is awesome to see. And I do know I said not much happened, but it's been a slow, gradual rise up for Ethereum from that $1,800 low. It's nice to see that we've got some price action back in here, seeing that like 25 to 30% rise over the last couple of days. But yeah, exciting to see what happens there. That's pretty much it for what's happening there. Yesterday I did drop a video with Nate Alex. It's an hour and 18 minutes of pure alpha. Get to hear a lot of what he does for starting out in crypto, farming crypto kitties, to becoming the co-founder of NFT 42, which is one of the big NFT companies in the space right now. Um, it's good to see somebody's thought process of like purchasing and selling and investing and making the leap into NFTs. The best part of that interview was certainly when he told me the day he quit his job and was about to start working with Jimmy at NFT 42. The entire market crashed. He lost half of his money, but still made the leap over to NFTs. I mean, just imagine that, like losing half your money, or like half or more of your money than half, the day you're quitting your job to go into a very risky business sector. Really requires a lot of conviction. So we talked about conviction. We talked about having a good support group of friends around you, projects, the future of NFTs. So if that sounds interesting, go give it a listen. Tweet at Nate Alex and let him know you listen and what you think. Yeah, other than that, that is July 1st morning mint. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your holiday weekend, and I will catch you on the next one.